Hello, everyone. Welcome to this another chapter of our chat with leaders. So, in this one, I have someone very special. I have with me Mustafa Ismail. We call him Mus. I think everybody calls him Mus. So, Mus, welcome to the show. Not exactly show, but yeah, it's a conversation
Thanks,
with your friends.
thanks, Shikar, and pleased to meet everybody who's watching.
Thank you. Thank you. So, before even starting, let me just give a very brief about Mus because it has to be brief. Otherwise, it may take us like whole duration. So, Mus is a product owner at Precisely, and we used to work together earlier in Pitney Bowes. He was a product owner for a product on which I worked. It is called Spectrum Special Analyst. And Mus is someone who has three, four, I don't know. I mean, he started in 85, then so many fields. So, lot of years of experience. But I didn't reach out to Mus today because of that, but because of one thing. Throughout my career, I have worked with many product owners, and all of them are great. And I'm saying it on record, on camera today. Whenever somebody asks me, who is your ideal product owner, product manager, Mus, I mean, I don't have to blink my eyes to say Mus. And why so? Because of three reasons. One, superb knowledge. I mean, our space was GIS. I think Mus can give any GIS scientist run for his money on the knowledge of the subject. Second, extremely methodical. So just to say, when I reached out to Mus about this conversation, he immediately, just within 24 hours, shared with me a folder that has that is a treasure trove for any wannabe product manager or product owner. And it has everything. So people watching this, if you want access to that, so do us a favor. Mus has graciously accepted to share that with everyone. So just type in Mus in the comment as an acknowledgement to the person who gathered that information. So if you do that, we'll share this information with you. And number three, humble. I'll say to the point of fault. I mean, so open, always open to collaborate in this thing also. Like Mus, you shared this thing, and I don't know how many people have been so open to share that. You said, "Oh, go ahead, use it whatever way you want." Really appreciate that thing. So I'll not go on and on because then it'll sound like a fanboy thing, which I am, to be honest. But let's go to the discussion directly. Okay, so let's go to the specific points. So one thing, Mus, I know we discussed earlier also, a lot of people come to me asking about product management, want to build a career in product management. So from your experience, what I would like to know is that what will be the ideal traits of a, say, product owner or manager? Who should go for the role, if you can?
Yeah.
And I'll be silent now. I've spoken a lot.
Great, thanks. Yeah. So I mean, I came through my career through engineering as a product architect, and then kind of pivoted into like a product owner type of role. And I was doing that kind of what is a product owner function within engineering as product architect, and then transitioned into product owner, formerly a product owner role on the product team. But I've always worked with product managers, many different types of product managers, junior ones, senior ones, good ones, bad ones. I mean, I've had a lot. The main trait for a product owner as opposed to a product manager, and there is a distinction between the two, and the material I've shared will kind of highlight that. A product owner is more of the glue between the business and the engineering and the product delivery. So you're there, you're kind of interpreting, you know about the business requirements, but you're kind of more inward facing in terms of delivering the product through engineering, providing the vision to engineering, and the vision of the product, I think, is the most critical thing, because that's what drives the visibility in engineering into what needs to be developed. So it's partly working with the product manager, sometimes working with partners and customers directly in conjunction with the PM, but more kind of inward looking, working with the software architects, the senior leads, the scrum masters, making sure that vision is delivered appropriately. And in my experience, I've taken kind of almost kind of both roles. I mean, on the engineering side, I've led the high level architecture of the product. Now, that's not something that most product owners may may do in their role, but it's something that I have done in my position. So the very high level architecture in terms of what, high level technologies we use, what APIs we need, what applications, those kind of things. And it's been very much a collaborative kind of a role. You need to be very collaborative, be open to suggestions from engineering, be open to what customers are wanting rather than going off in a particular direction. I mean, really, you're the glue that binds the business and the product delivery to provide something successful which customers are going to love and want to kind of continue purchasing and using.
Got it. So one thing I see is that somebody who can articulate things, like the glue person who has that capability, you'll have to able to get different stuff and articulate in the way that engineering understands, right? So
Yes.
technical understanding is also, I think, one of the good traits a product owner should have.
Yeah. Right. Yes, at least in a sort of senior role. I mean, you can have product owner roles. It can be a junior product owner right up to somebody who is almost a product, a PM in, doing both roles. But I think, yes, so in my view, yes, I think you do need to have that technical understanding. It needs to be a collaboration with engineering rather than you just giving requirements and engineering kind of choose the tech. I mean, like competitive intelligence, for example, I mean, that's an important aspect of your product. Your product is there in that domain, and you're competing with others. You need to have that competitive intelligence as well as a product owner. You need to be aware of the technologies that are being used. Do the competing products have APIs? Are they extensible? Are they plugging into kind of big data systems? Are they adopting AI, ML? All these kind of things are important in that business sector for your product to succeed, and you have to be aware of those as well. And sometimes engineering will have that knowledge, and they can suggest, but it's very much a collaborative role. It's you're an enabler and a facilitator more than anything.
Absolutely. And I think somebody who needs to have some acumen for doing research, deep dives, getting understanding the landscape, and people person, right? Because you have to collaborate with so many people. Awesome. Thank you so much, Marcia. I think that should definitely be a good pointer for people who are looking in that direction. Does it excite them? Do they have that in them, or can they build that? So great. And so if we know that, then what would be the way forward to prepare for that kind of career? Any certification courses? Because I saw in the folder you also had something very interesting. Maybe you can just share about that.
Yeah, I mean, there are. I mean, I did. When I moved into a formal PO role at Precisely, which was like a couple of years ago, I did research a little bit, and I also interviewed a number of junior POs that were coming into the org. So the CSPO and the PSPO are two of the certifications I discovered. I mean, there's details in the folder. I don't need to kind of go over those now, but it's they're useful, I think, for, I mean, if you're starting out, if you're a slightly more junior manager, or it's worth researching those certifications. But I think from what I saw, they're primarily about the process of the product owner, how it kind of plugs into the agile framework, managing the delivery, and it's they're interesting. I think it's worth looking at those, and then if it's not too pricey, just take one and get the certification. But for me, I feel that the domain knowledge of that business vertical that you're going to be a product owner in is quite important. When I was looking for POs, people who had some expertise in mapping or spatial or GIS or location intelligence were always kind of bubbled up to the top of the list, regardless of somebody who has a pure great certification but in a completely different vertical. It wasn't as enticing for me. So I think that's the most important thing is if you want to be a product owner or a product manager, you can get generic POs and PMs who are like technically good at managing a product and marketing and all that kind of liaison stuff, but they really need to know the vertical, the industry, the domain, the space. That's what really makes you successful. So the first thing I would say is if there's a particular domain or a vertical that really interests you, whether it's AI, ML, or whether it's something specifically like insurance or retail or telco or whatever, banking, focus on that vertical, become a knowledge of expert of that vertical. You know what kind of technology those kind of organizations want, get a role in that's aligned to that. Because if you're interested in the vertical and it excites you, and and you stop working and then you're kind of reading about what's happening in that industry space, that's what kind of coalesces to make you into a more of an expert, and it will drive you in your career as well than if it's some boring vertical like I can't think of any at the moment, but
No, I think you hit it bang on. So, and it is also pretty aligned to what I think. So, I'll use the same agile manifesto metaphor here.
mm,
While there is value in certification, there is more value in understanding that domain and a vertical that you want to become a product
mm,
owner or product manager in, right?
mm,
I think it is
yeah,
true for anything that I also believe. Thank you so much.
mm,
And it'll be a good pointer for people who are looking for a job change. So don't just think that doing any XYZ certification and not having deep knowledge in the domain will get you through. So
mm,
that is important. Cool. Okay, Mas. So now coming to I think 2017 I left, right? So I know that product must have moved a lot since then. So if you can tell us about what you're doing, what is your role, what are the cool
mm,
things that you're building at precisely
yeah.
now? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when we were together, Shikara, we were building, mapping applications.
Right.
I've since adopted the PO role for the APIs, which were kind of supporting those applications. And I think we had both SaaS and on-prem delivery. But now, currently, I mean, I think it's no secret, I can say this, I mean, precisely are building a data integrity suite. So they want to be the leader in data integrity. So that's about, it's not just spatial, it's about data quality, integrating your data, observing your data. So if there are changes which don't align with your rules, that you get alerted to them. And we're layering in a full kind of spatial analytics capability and geocoding capabilities into that solution. It's a hybrid SaaS, so you kind of design and work with it in the SaaS environment, but all the execution happens in your own environment. So whether that's Snowflake, Databricks, Redshift, BigQuery, whatever.
Awesome.
So that's very interesting for me because it's there's a slightly new twist to
Right.
the kind of legacy work I've been doing. So looking very much at integrating our spatial APIs and technology into big data warehouse environments. So Snowflake being one, Databricks, and it's really interesting. It's a whole new space, and it's more targeting at large enterprises, people with big data, sort of big data spatial analytics, indexing with hex polygons, all that kind of stuff. So it's new and it's exciting, and it keeps me interested.
Awesome. Sounds super geeky as well. So I know
Yeah,
it's like it'll be really awesome
yeah,
and
yeah,
exciting. I want to work in that now, but no, I'll hold on for some time. Okay.
yeah,
So must maybe can you share us, your journey? You started like way
mm,
back in multiple domains, then you reach where you reach today. So what is the
yeah,
journey overall? Very highlight of that if you can. I know it's a long one, but
yeah.
happening one.
It is
Yeah.
a long one, and
Yeah.
I have to declare at the moment that I have no IT qualification. So
Fine. I think that is
that,
better in
that
fact.
goes to show that, you can succeed if you have that aptitude for it. My degree was in town planning, so I had I had an honours degree in town planning, and in 1985 I took a role as a town planner in London Borough of Camden, which is a council based in London in the UK. And I was processing planning applications. and stuff like that. And the reason I chose town planning was because as a child, I was always interested in maps. I collected maps. I was interested in how towns were laid out because I lived in a new town, which was newly designed. That's part of kind of expansion away from London. And that's what drove me into that. I was very good at geography. I loved maps. And town planning seemed like a natural career for me because, it was either that or cartography. And cartography was paper-based at the time. And I was, I would have done cartography, but town planning was like paid a lot more money. So I thought, okay, let's do town planning. And it's around the same time, around 85, 86, when I'd finished my degree, and computers, when I was doing my degree, were like these kind of, it's not even a green screen. It was like, you had to kind of type, it wasn't kind of cards with holes in it, but it was basically you'd submit your job and it will get run overnight on a mainframe and then get a kind of ream of green and white striped paper afterwards. Okay. But around that time, I purchased a microcomputer. So the British Broadcasting Corporation created a microcomputer called the BBC Micro. So I bought that and I started learning to kind of program with it on my own as a hobby. So I learned assembler. 6502 machine code assembler and basic, and started writing stuff, playing games, the kind of things you do. And it was quite interesting. But I was in a town planning career. So I progressed through town planning. I mean, in around the 90s, which was about 5, 6, maybe 7 years later, I purchased MapInfo Professional as a desktop GIS, and I started kind of helping and digitizing our kind of planning maps. So where are the conservation areas, listed buildings, all the kind of type of, criteria you need to assess a planning application, in what zone it's in. So they were all getting digitized. And then in 1998, I became a GIS manager. So the council decided to adopt GIS as a kind of a formal part of their IT. We went out to tender and acquired a GIS system, which was kind of based on MapInfo since we already had it. And in 1998, I became the GIS manager. I had a team of 2 people, so we were responsible for capturing our land and property gazetteer data because the council was responsible for maintaining the address base for the area. And I started developing my own applications with it, having that experience. And by then, I had an IBM PC, like a proper, IBM PC. And I started writing in VBA. Developed web mapping applications and desktop applications using Visual Basic. Before .NET, that was Visual Basic free. And our supplier, GDC, who were our supplier of the technology, had their own applications, which I completely shunned. I thought, that's something I'm not going to use. I can develop my own one, which is better, which I did. And so in 2000, they kind of headhunted me and said, well, do you want to come and work for us? And I said, well, okay. So I joined GDC in 2000, and I was responsible for, delivering new solutions for mapping. So we developed Plan Web and Plan Access, which were kind of web mapping applications. One intranet focused, one was kind of public, citizen focused. And they became quite successful in the UK. It was UK only, but a number of I think we had almost like over half of the UK councils were using one or other of those technologies. So it was quite successful. There was a management buyout in 2002, which I took part in. So I had a small slice of the company. And in 2007, the company was acquired by MapInfo itself. So they made a bit of money on that sale, and went into MapInfo and became. I was both a manager and a product architect. It was a dual role initially. By then we had a team of kind of 15. And we pivoted and developed mapping applications over kind of MapInfo's technology. About a month after that acquisition, MapInfo itself got purchased by Pitney Bowes. So within the space of like a month and a half, I'd been worked for 3 companies without having to apply for
Changing
any.
yeah.
It's been great. I mean, at Pitney Bowes, we developed on-prem products. Then there was an initiative to go SaaS, so we pivoted and had a SaaS version of the product, and then pivoted back to on-prem again because it was too early for most of our customers were not kind of SaaS friendly. This was like 10, 15 years ago. I mean, I think it was too early in the space for our customers, at least. They were not prepared to upload data and manage it. They had all their stuff integrated on-prem. And it's been a great ride since then. A lot of changes and switches. I think one thing I would say is I've rewritten I've ditched and rewritten the mapping applications from scratch multiple times, and you need to be prepared to do that. As a product owner, you can't be like wedded to your product. And my product, you can't change it. It's the best product in the world. Things change, technology changes, customer requirements change. So you need to be, you're in the space, you're in that vertical space, and you're looking to provide a solution to that space, and that's what's important. So your product can morph, it can change, it can be replaced. You might acquire somebody and then they have a product which might be better, and so just be open to that. Don't be your product is good and you should make it good, but it doesn't mean it can't be changed, and that's what we've done. We've changed it along the way, and it's continued to be successful.
Fascinating journey, I'll say.
Yeah.
Super fascinating journey. And one thing, what you mentioned, I think that is what, again, re-emphasizing that not clinging to your product, just thinking it is too good. If so, so it is important to be able to let go also sometimes, which you have done so many times over and over again.
Yes.
I think I already have the answer for the next question, but still I'll ask. So I always see this, great deal of passion in whatever you do. You are always so passionate. That is why, because without passion, you cannot do what you are doing for such a long innings. I think I know the answer, but I still want to hear from you. What is the secret behind that? How you can do that after being in this field for so many years, 85 to 2023. It's a long one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as I say, I mean, it's been my passion all along. I mean, even as a child, I was into maps and stuff, and into spatial, and that's it. I mean, really, and my passion was also IT because I really took to IT, and I was a self-taught programmer.
Yeah.
I've never had an IT qualification. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a core engineer. I mean, no. I mean, I've not really developed anything in Java. It's always been, Microsoft type technology and JavaScript recently, but not really got into TypeScript and Angular much. I use the technology. I am just as happy being a user of the technology as I am a provider of the technology, because I just like the space and the kind of the spatial area. So that's really what drives me. I mean, it's really I'm combining two of my hobbies. I'm combining mapping and spatial with IT. They were both hobbies of mine, and my career is based on a combination of those two hobbies, and that's it. Simple as that, really. I mean, I would, I would say, I love the focus on the product rather than, I would not be a general manager. I mean, that would be really boring for me. I mean, I care for people and their career, but being a manager of that is not my thing. And I'm not. I'm more kind of focused on what the product is and what it can do, rather than going out and kind of flirting with customers and the marketing and all that,
Yeah.
that's not my thing either. So that's why I feel the PO role is perfect for me. I would not want to be a true pure manager, and I wouldn't want to be a pure product manager as well, who has depends on somebody else for that connectivity to engineering. So that's really what drives me, I think. So, I've reached a level in my career where I'm happy. I mean, I get enough money for it, and I'm happy what I'm doing, and that's it.
Yeah. So, people say that, if your passion becomes your profession, you are very lucky. But in
Mm,
your, I will not say you are lucky, because you actually work for that. As a child,
mm,
you like
mm,
maps. So you took a
yeah,
degree in town planning and everything. So it was not
mm,
pure luck. You
yeah,
you enjoyed, you were intrigued by maybe that computers and stuff, and you learned
mm,
programming on your own. So you
mm,
did the work also towards that,
yes,
desire. So I think that
mm,
may be the, reason why you are in such a perfectly good
mm,
space, and a lot of people envy you for that.
mm,
But yeah, thanks for sharing that journey. I didn't even know
yeah,
many aspects of this before,
yeah,
although we knowing each other for long. Cool.
mm,
So next question. This is definitely a secret. So how do you stay so organized? Everything you do. I remember our release plannings. You used to plan for the whole year, monthly, weekly
mm,
deliverables. Even here, this Dropbox of product owner
mm,
material.
yeah.
What is the secret behind it? How do you do that?
Well, I guess it's a personal trait more than anything. I mean, I like to know what it is and where we're going. I don't like kind of working kind of blind into. I like to know what are the competitors doing. What's the technology out there that we can utilize. So there's a lot of that kind of research in terms of fleshing out the requirements, and I like to give the vision of the product. Why are we developing it like this? Why are we doing it that way? Because I think giving that vision as well is important. So there's a lot of research involved. It is you know I wouldn't say 100%, but I mean it is you need to research. I mean you need to know what space you're in, and that's what I did with the PO role. I mean, when I was going to be a PO, I thought, okay, I'm going to research it. What is a PO actually? What's a junior one versus a senior one? Um, and it's also in terms of that analytical kind of bent that I have. I mean, like in spatial analytics, I want, it's the same for Scrum. I want to analyze, I mean, okay, what's the velocity? What was the velocity before? What's the sizing of the epic? And tracking that. And that kind of comes almost automatically for me now. I mean, I'll look at Jira boards, I'll extract data. So in terms of planning, and I've had the experience. I also have a feel, with my collaboration with engineering and how long something is going to take. So I try and plan, what epics can we deliver within a certain time frame based on the number of developer resources. What's the velocity per developer? All these kind of metrics. Um, it's just something I just do as a matter of course, kind of like breathing. It's not something I think about anymore. It's just some people might spend their whole kind of as a junior PO, your primary focus may be just delivering these statistics on velocity and how it's going. But yeah, I mean, it's like that, and I like to prove things as well. I don't like having to, suggest something without a basis. I think there always has to be a basis and a rationale for something. So it's both having that basis for what we're developing, why we're developing, doing the research, but also um, having that as a PO, and this is a pure PO role, having that ability to kind of quickly analyze where are we, how are we tracking against delivery, adding contingency to the product plans, because there's always contingency. What customer support issues are coming in. Are they bugs? Are they feature requests? Planning them in, having contingency and capacity to deal with that, so your engineers have the space to handle customer issues while they're doing product delivery. So all those kind of things really, the kind of the guts of the PO role, which which some of that material will kind of, yeah,
Yeah, so it's just a second nature. That is what I understand. I know
yeah,
you are methodical, maybe in
exactly.
personal life as well, in
Mm,
whatever you do.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like to know what it is, yeah, and
yeah.
research it.
And I think a
Mm,
lot of the things you said will be also helpful for the people who are growing in this role, because they know that they also should do all of those things if they
mm,
want to be the master in their field.
mm,
So thank you for
yeah.
that. Sure. I know, again, maybe answer to this also, but any regrets must throughout your career, long, illustrious career, anything that you thought?
Um, I don't think so. I mean,
Mm.
no, I mean, not really. I mean, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I mean, I get paid enough for it. I mean, yeah, I mean, I wish I was a multi-billionaire and Elon Musk
Yeah,
or you know, or something like that. But no, I mean, I'm happy. So yeah, I mean,
got it. Got it. Yeah,
really, I don't
that's what I
really have
thought.
any.
There
Yeah,
will not be any. You're happy, and I know you are
yeah,
happy because
yeah,
that vibe always comes true. I never found you frustrated. I never found you, no matter what the challenge is, I always found you like
mm,
very calm, composed, happy, and
mm,
really excited about your work. So I knew
mm,
that answer. That's why. But still, I ask it to everyone. So I had to ask. Finally, I think we have discussed many things, and you have already given a lot many valuable insights to people. But anything like, if you want to summarize for people who are maybe in this journey of product management, product ownership,
mm,
or want to get into that, any advice, any single advice that you want to give them, or more than
mm.
single, of course.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said before, it's as much the space you're working in, the domain, that's important as it is your kind of abilities, because you have to have an interest in that domain. So I won't kind of reiterate that, but and I think there's a lot of kind of um, what's the word, like confusion about what is a PO. I mean, because at one end you've got like a software architect, a technical architect who is engineering focused, and they're leading the technical delivery of the product. Then we have this kind of product architect, which is almost like a PO on the engineering side. I mean, they take the very high level product decisions and technology decisions and those kind of things. Then you have a product owner, which is my role, um, which is technically in the product team rather than the engineering team, but it's all very aligned to what a product architect might do. But it varies from organisation. Some organisations, the product architect is more technical. In precisely, it was basically a PO role rather than a pure tech role. Then you have things like technical product managers or junior product. I mean, so that's almost like a PO, but it's slightly more focused on um, a bit more on the product. I mean, I would say it's almost like a PO. So you may find technical product manager roles, which are really POs. Then you've got the pure PM roles, and ultimately you've got business, the leader of that um, kind of a segment in your organization who's doing it. Like, we have a vice president of LI who deals with the whole of the LI, but they're very much kind of strategic. So it depends really. On where you feel comfortable. Are you more of a business person? Are you interested in the pricing of the product? Are you interested in the marketing and the helping the salespeople pitch it and sell it? If that's more your focus, then a PM role may be more aligned. If you're much more technical, then a product architect type of role might be better for you. I mean, maybe in engineering, but if you're kind of slightly in the middle, like I was, then a PO role, certainly a senior PO role, would be a good option. So it depends really. If your personality is more going out and promoting and evangelizing and those kind of things, and a PM or a technical PM might be a better fit. But if you're more interested in actually what the product does and then how it does it and leading engineering, then a PO role. Yeah. But
Got
it
it.
depends. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
very much on how where you feel comfortable and where you think your own personal skills and traits are better fitted into your career path.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it will be really helpful for people who are a bit confused, because
Mm,
all those designations, all those different, I also didn't
mm,
know that kind of, granular
mm.
details between differences.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
definitely it will be helpful to people.
Mm,
Okay. it was great interacting with you, Mas.
Okay.
After I think couple of years we are meeting, but
It's been a
nothing
pleasure.
has
Yeah.
changed. Yeah,
And
I
I've got the
learned a lot.
highest
Sorry.
respect for you as well, Shikara. And it was about saying,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you. So thank you once again, Mus. And yep, I think people will find this introduction very valuable, and I'll be really happy if we have the couple of next gen Mus at least I get to
mm,
see. I'll be
yeah,
really happy based on
yeah.
this. Okay, thanks.
All right,
Okay,
then
have a great day,
take
Mus.